So up next, we have our next guest speaker. I have the opportunity of speaking about her. Janine Monize. She is the Director of Organizational Development at FDE Ashley Home Store in New York and New Jersey. Janine is responsible for all the training, development, and culture and experience throughout the organization. She has an out-of-box approach to her methodology and beautifully balances logic and fun to create resolutions for her team and guests. Janine has a degree in biblical theology and a certified ICF business life coach. She is extremely passionate about people, leadership, growth, and connection. I had the opportunity to train under her a few weeks back, and I can definitely say that she is authentic and extremely passionate about those that she trains and coaches. She's been in the industry for over 20 years, and with the Julius Group, one of the top consulting companies in the nation, creating world-class customer service and experience, and still partners with them today to keep her having cutting-edge mentality. She has 3 grown children and 1 granddaughter who is the light of her life, and her hobbies are anything outdoors, biking, hiking, skiing, and running. And so I just want to give a warm welcome to Janine, but before we do, we have a short video for you to watch.
What I'd like for you to do right now, I want you to think about your dream, because I'm in a room full of dreamers. Think about your dream right now. I want you to think about it and envision it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. I do not believe that any of us have dreams that were not given to us for the purpose of accomplishing those particular dreams. I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. But here's what I know, that dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that it's possible that I can have my dream as we run toward it, as we work on it day in and day out. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? For many years I didn't. One is because of fear. The fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? The other thing is that most people, ladies and gentlemen, they get comfortable. They stop growing. They stop working on themselves. They stop stretching. They stop pushing themselves. And they end up becoming very cynical about life. And they throw in the towel on themselves, on their families, and on their dreams. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. And here's what I will share with you. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you will realize is that you are greater than your circumstances. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine.
Life has a special meaning for those who are running towards their dreams. I share that video so often. As leaders in this room, how many of us right now, today, wake up and we're running after our dream? Did we hear some of the big nuggets in there? The big ones. Did anybody catch the one that was almost gives you the right hook? Anybody catch it? Most people have done everything they're already going to do. They raise a family, they get a job, and then they die. Life has a special meaning for those who are running after their dreams? How many of you right now do you wake up with the energy ready to go attack your dream? That you go after something that you're so hungry to reach for? Let me ask it this way. Right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 10 is amazing. 1, not so much. Where are you in your life's journey out living out your dream? How content are you right now? Are you living the life that you were meant to live? That should wake us up a little bit. Many of us, we get into that boat of life and we let the wind take us instead of waking up and cultivating that dream, because life has a special meaning for those who are running after it. So one more nugget before we dive in. We're leaders in the room. You're hand-selected to be in here. You're leading and influencing people. Everything that we've learned today so far, how important is it that we know that the people that we're leading every day, how valuable, how beneficial would it be for you to know their dreams? What motivates them? What excites them? What gives them passion? What gives them energy? How valuable do you think that would be for you? Yeah? Faces? I'm getting the deer in the headlight. It would be a superpower. I heard that word already. It would be your superpower if you knew how to motivate your team by understanding their dream, their purpose, their why. So before we dive into this topic, what I'd like to do is just introduce myself. I'd like to get to know, I think Lindsay did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Lindsay. She said a lot of it already. But I want to pull the curtain back, allow you to come in and get to know me a little bit. And the way that I want to do that is I want to do it through this acronym that we call FORD. FORD is an acronym called Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams. By the way, that's a phenomenal resource for you guys. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. It is the greatest way that you could build rapport with your team is by understanding and knowing their FORD. So what I would like to do is just pull that curtain back and let you come into my life a little bit. So the first thing, before you look at that beautiful picture up there of all those great looking kids, I would just let you know that I am from New Jersey. Many of you believe that thank you. Who is that? I love that, because I'm under this notion that once you leave Jersey, they call it the armpit of the world. I don't know about that. I'm one of those few people that I love it, I live it, I breathe it. I'm a Jersey girl. Hopefully not like some of the shows, I think, whatever, Housewives of Jersey, that's not me. But I am from Jersey. I am a single mom. Any single moms out here? Anything? Love you guys. You know what? You have my heart. I think we are just amazing young women doing double duty, and I have a real heart and passion for single moms. So I am a single mom for quite a long time. And I'm a single mom to a bunch of those beautiful people up there. So I'm going to start one and introduce my daughter, Samantha. You could probably just, let me see if I can find. That's Samantha over there, then over there somewhere. That's my oldest daughter, Samantha. She's 24. I have coined this phrase. I believe that God created prayer when he made Samantha because she keeps me on my knees. That's what I believe. If you have some teenage girls, you know what I'm talking about. But from the time she was born, she kept me on my knees. And here's the bigger part. I think it's because she's most like her mama. But I will tell you today, what really lights me up is that she has found things that she loves. She's thriving. She's doing amazing. She does makeup. She's a makeup artist for ABC. So she makes all those anchor people look really amazing. And then she works with celebrities. She does all their makeup, which is kind of cool. The celebrity music. She's like raps and all that stuff. So fun to find her on Instagram. Samantha Monize, I think you'll find her. But she's got wild pictures up there. It's great. In addition to that, next we have Suna. He's really hard to see up there, by the way. That's Suna, and then right there. Suna, all different shapes, colors, and sizes up there. So Suna is 23 years old. Suna I adopted from Africa. I met Suna when he was 12 years old. I was on a mission trip, and I went over to Uganda, Africa, and there I met this young man. I met him at a time of my life when I was divorced and not really in the best spot, but you know, Angelina Jolie could do it, I could do it. You go and you adopt a kid, right? So that's what I did. And I have to tell you, not many people thought that that was the greatest idea I ever had. But then, you know, time goes on and I could share with you that so many people say, what an impact you must have made in his life. And what I would just really pull the curtain back here, he impacted our family way more than we impacted him. You know, I have the spoiled American teenagers, and he really did show them what gratitude, love, what it really means to live and be full of life. So that was amazing. He's doing great. He is now studying to be a nurse, and we have successfully turned him into a spoiled American young man. So mission accomplished. So good for us. And then if we keep going, I have my youngest son. He's in here somewhere. You can find him. I got the clicker. That's Shane. Shane is 22. He just graduated from Monmouth College, so I have a graduate. I have an empty nest there, if you will. Shane, 22, he's suddenly jumped into the finance world, 100% commission. He's thriving, and I'm watching him grow into this young man, and he is my Velcro boy. He's my baby boy. I'm an Italian. He's just, I don't know. I'll never get rid of him. He still lives home. I love him to pieces. It's just amazing. If you notice, there's quite an age gap there. Then who's this one? And I will tell you that that's my granddaughter. So this is where you should be shocked. If you want, fall over, go, what? So come on, get shocked for a minute. Okay. So that is my granddaughter. And I will tell you that when Samantha was, she was 16, it took me a while to get Suni here, by the way. I brought him in from Africa. It took me years. I should have mentioned that. It took me years. And we got him here around Thanksgiving. And he was 15, Samantha was 16. It's a couple weeks, 2 weeks before Christmas. You know, we're celebrating. The Monize family is celebrating. And I bring home Suna, and 2 weeks later, my daughter says, Mama, I'm pregnant. That was not the way this story was supposed to go. You know, I just brought a kid in, and I'm, you know, just newly divorced. This isn't how the way this goes. And I was devastated. I was devastated. It was a very hard news, hard to hear, and I am just so grateful that I had the church family, the family that I have, the friendships that I have around me. And now I'm going to fast forward and tell you 7 years later, that little girl, I get emotional just saying it. That little girl she truly is. She is the light of my life. She is such a joy. I like her so much more than I like my kids. She's amazing, and she goes home with her mom at night. It's awesome. I do just love her to pieces. So that's my family. That's a little bit about my family. I'd love to take you now into occupation. Lindsay said a few things I just think need some merit. So prior to me being working for the DeJulius Group, I'll get into that in a minute, I was actually a hairstylist in my other life. I spent 15 years there as a hairstylist, and that's where I learned everything. I'm telling you, it's all true. That's where I learned training. I learned sales, learned everything. I would go up and down the East Coast as a platform. Instead of a clicker, I'd have scissors in my hand. I went and I sold the Paul Mitchell products up and down the East Coast, and I loved it. I loved it, but I went, and there was this thing inside of me that I wanted to keep growing. I went on to coaching school. I got a degree in biblical theology, and so it's just giving you this pattern that I really love. I love people. I really, truly love connection, relationship, and people. From there, it launched me to meet this gentleman named John DeJulius. He is one of the #1 consultants in the country today for creating a world-class customer service organization. He runs the DeJulius Group. I stalked him until he hired me. I did it so well. Even back then, there was no Facebook, but I figured out how to stalk him until he hired me. And he did. And I got to be behind the scenes on places like Starbucks, Disney, Lexus, and it just showed me the inner workings of what it looks like to create a customer service revolution. And it was changing organizations all around. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it, except as I'm going through divorce, you're traveling all around the world. Not such a very good occupation when you have kids at home. So at that point, I went out on my own as a consultant, and I was loving my life. I'm doing what I love to do. And then I meet this gentleman named Eugene Crinian. Eugene Crinian is the CEO of Factory Direct Enterprises, DBA. It's one of a licensee of Ashley. And unbelievably how this changed my life again. Another amazing, incredible chapter. I met Eugene. He's just larger than life. If you know him, he's just an unbelievable human being. And he's given me a privilege to live out my why inside of Factory Direct. So some of the things that I get to do, our mission statement, which I should have put up there, I want to make it more about Broad River, but FDE, it'll all make sense. FDE is we're committed to amazing our team members, our guests, and our communities we serve through every personal interaction. And by doing so, we honor God. So that is our mission. The way that we live that out and demonstrate it every day, I get to, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. No tomatoes. Anyway, so I oversee this umbrella called Ashley Cares. He's distracting me. Ashley Cares. Ashley Cares. So Ashley Cares is an umbrella over all these beautiful programs that help us live out our purpose. So what are those programs? As you guys all know, Hope to Dream, right? I love that I get to be a part of that. A couple of others that I just want to mention is how we live out our purpose with our team members. We have a program called Team Relief Fund. We walk alongside of any team member who is in financial distress. People who have had an unanticipated life event that it takes them down. We want to walk alongside of them. We have a program called Give a Day where we pay you to go take a day off. We want you to go volunteer and give back and do something larger than your life and self because we want you to feel that purpose. Because we know when we give back, where does that give come? Where does it really come back to? Yourself. We want you to feel that. So we pay you to go take a day off. One of my favorites is a life resource event. Every quarter, we know that everyone in here, myself, everyone, Charlie, everyone, we are going to struggle in one of three areas of life. Every one of us. Your health and wellness, your relationships, your finance, yes? And if it's all three at the same time, that's a bad day. That's a rough day. We have a life resource event and make sure that we have an education seminar, webinar, instructor-led talking head to help you learn in one of those three areas to help you have the resources to walk towards the best journey of yourself. That's what we want to make sure through our life resource events. Last, we have a corporate chaplain program. We have a chaplain that visits every one of our locations. Why? So he could just be a sounding board. Life's tough sometimes, right? You got to show up. And you don't want to talk to just everybody, so our chaplain's there if you want to high-five them, if you want to just have a spiritual guide, or just somebody, wisdom, that's it. He's there for you. 24/7, you can pick up the phone, and he visits our stores weekly. That's our Ashley Cares program, and I get the privilege to oversee that. The next and more fun, and what brings me here today, is I lead out all of training and development for our people. I meet with all of our department heads, and I make sure, do they have the right resources, do they have education, the right modules, right certifications? And the part that I love the most is leadership. I love changing knowledge, learning. Today is like such a gift to sit back there. You guys just loving all this information we're learning about growing as leaders? This is really cool stuff. And not many people, not many organizations, in fact, I can't even name 10 that will pull all their leaders together to learn this kind of stuff. And we get to do that. And I get to do that on a daily basis. So it's really cool. So that's what I get to do for Factory Direct, and I love it. I absolutely love my occupation. So I already gave you the preview of my recreation. I am the only Patriot fan all of New Jersey. That's it. I wear it like a banner. I'm the only girl, I think, that knows football inside now. Manny told me he's a Patriot fan, so I know I got one in here. One in here. I know there's one. This is usually where my survey of speakers is going to tank right now, but I'm okay with it. And it is, I think, 11 or 10 days till football season, so I'm so excited. But that's my recreation. That's what I love outside of my running and doing all that stuff. And instead of dreams, I'm going to swap it out for my why. I want to share my why with you. My why is to love like Jesus in every interaction. And why is that important? Why is that important in the workspace? Well, for me, it's my guiding light. If I want to love like Jesus, but are you guys busy? Do you have a lot of leftover time at the end of the day? Probably not, right? I am running so fast, but yet when people knock on my door, I know I have to love like Jesus. I know when I am in friction or in conflict, I know I can't be right. I know I have to love like Jesus and do course correction with love on my tongue. That's my North Star. But why is it important that if I have a leader, my boss, why is it important for him to know that? Well, outside circumstances, if he's got to talk with me, if he really needs to talk with me, if we need to have those deep discussions, or even if it's a productivity conversation, he's going to really dive into this and say, how are you living that out? Especially if it's conflict, especially if I'm doing something adverse. This is where this is really important, because outside influencers or outside circumstances don't matter. But to me, for me, and I'm not using this as a platform to preach, I promise, but I'm sharing me, what's important to me. If he were to say to me, hey, you know, I don't mean to be cliche, but what would Jesus do right now? That's gonna hit right in my heart. That's gonna wake me up. And when I go home at the end of my night, how I know I won is, did I live that out? I know that sometimes I stand in front of a room full of people, and I have some of my team in the back, and if I'm sharing my why and I'm in conflict, or they don't see that, I know that's a problem. So knowing this and having this clear, and having it really here at the forefront of my mind, and having my team know, and having my boss know, is a huge portion of my success at work. So thank you for allowing me to share that. With that, before I dive into our topic today, I really need to just take a moment. I want to just be so transparent. I had the opportunity, maybe just not even a month ago, to spend with some of your leaders. I was with Charlie and Manny and Lindsay and Heather and Christian, and they came up and they spent 2 full days going through this whole notion of uncovering the why with us. Now, I just need to stop a minute and talk about some authentic intentionality. You are working with a leader who is mind-blowing with his walking the walk. This man is trying to learn it. And I was blown away that I would be having a conversation with a leader who's saying, I'm flying up my leadership team to come and take your class. I'm going, oh my goodness, I really got to knock this one out of the ballpark. I got to do this stuff now. And they came up and they spent 2 full days. That's just authentic. That is authentic intentionality. And so I just want to take a moment just to be so transparent. And thank you guys then, because here I am a month later talking about this stuff with you. What kind of collaboration and partnership? This is the stuff that really matters going forward. This is really how business is supposed to be going forward. So thank you for allowing me to be here with you. Thank you for allowing me to take up some of your time. So now I'm going to move into the topic of this thing called the why. What's today's topic? What's the agenda that we're going to uncover today? So first and foremost is, why is finding the purpose so important today? Today, not just any old time. Why is it important today? Then, what is a why? As if you haven't heard it enough today already. But we'll give you my version, which it's not different. We're going to drill down differently. It's not going to end us in a different spot, but we're going to drill down differently. And why is it so important to know your team members' why? Why is that so important? And how do you extract it? I think we just did a great job that Heather gave us some tools to begin to keep extracting this purpose. We're just going to do it again. And we're going to learn more and go deeper and deeper and deeper in this whole notion of extracting the why, extracting purpose. And last, I'm going to stay really high view, but we're going to talk about what does it mean to coach to the why. So what on earth does that all mean? But we're going to uncover that. So let's go down this journey of uncovering the why. So why today? More than ever, 2019, 2020, why today is it more important than ever to know our team members' why. And this shouldn't be our guiding force, but as business leaders, we still need to be cognizant of it. Jobs are everywhere right now. The job market is telling every candidate, I have 2 to 3 jobs lined up for you. Everyone in here, sorry to say, you could leave and you're going to get another job. That's what the job market's telling us. Every candidate right now has 2 to 3 waiting for them. A candidate is waiting 24 to 48 hours and they're going to get a job. So why do I share that with you? How much are we burning, churning, and spending money on recruiting, hiring, training to lose people? We want to hang on to our people. Now that shouldn't be the guiding force. It should never be money, but we still need to think about it, why it's even more important today to move in this direction. And then secondly, why is this so important? Is if we know we need to be the unique. We need to be the differentiator from everybody else out there. If our candidates could go, did you see that? I was almost going to trip on my face. If our candidates could go anywhere, what's going to make it different here? Why is it unique here? What's going to be different here? What are you going to give me different? Because I got options. I got options now. And I just pulled this up, Google it. I don't want you to do it now. Google this. I just Googled job market North Carolina. This was the first one. Jobs are everywhere. So how are you going to be different? How is your leadership going to be different? And what I would share with you is the most important way is to be meaningful and authentic. Process, protocol. Please make sure your product is perfect. Be the master of your craft, please. But to be the unique, because our competitors also have great process and protocol. So what's different about us? What's different about Broad River is creating meaningful relationships. Please listen. Creating meaningful relationships. Getting to know the people you're spending 40 and 50 and maybe 60 hours a week with. Not staying superficial, but really going down deep. Doing life with them. Let's do life together and be better people together. To care about one another. Does that sound too fluffy? Or does that sound like where we want to go? Because honestly, I'm hoping after today, I'm being real. You know, I don't have a book and I'm not a scientist, but I live in a living laboratory with a lot of 650 people. And it's real. You want to do life together. We want to know each other. So we've got to be different. We've got to be different. So that's why we've got to move in this direction to create meaningful relationships. So what is a why? What is a why? We've talked about a lot about this thing, purpose. I'm going to drill it down just really personal. Outside of the workplace, what is your why? What is a why? Well, it's your purpose, your personal mission, your legacy, your mental fuel. Think about that. It's your mental fuel. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you reaching for? What legacy do you want to leave in life? Those are big questions. How many of us are taking the time to refine it, to think about it, to go after it? Most of us don't take the time to have this conversation with ourselves. In fact, when we at FDE, Factory Direct, when we deployed this 5 years ago, this was really blind. It's like, what? What's a why? Right now, it's almost getting so liquid, we just kind of hear it. But just because the word's out there, that doesn't mean people are actually doing it. It doesn't mean people are taking the time to refine it, to think about it, to understand it and what it means for their life. Because if you don't know your why, how do you know you're winning? So these are your why. And it could be seasonal. So mine, I told you, is big. It's overarching. It's a banner. It's static. It's not moving. Mine is to live and to love like Jesus. But it could be seasonal. It could be, I need to save for retirement. I need to save for my kids' college. I need a car. I want a down payment for a house. That could be a why. That's what our team members are showing up with, but they don't have it crystallized in their head. And it's important to know it. So these are a why, your legacy. Those are big, but let's funnel it down. What is it you need to achieve today? These are beautiful, magical things to know about our team members. Why is it so important? Why is it so important to know our team members' why? Let's answer that one next.
You can write everything down if you want to. Be brave enough to write every one of your goals down. But I'm going to tell you something. Life's going to hit you in your mouth, and you got to do me a huge favor. Your why has to be greater than that knockdown. And I love it. Buster Douglas got knocked out. Nobody ever got knocked out by Mike Tyson and ever got back up. It was almost a 10 count. He was stumbling. They were 4, 3, 2, 1, and ding, 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 saved by the bell. He goes to his corner. The whole world is like, yep, that's it. Once he comes back out, that's it. Mike's gonna just hammer him. And exactly that. Mike Tyson came out like, I got him. I got this kid up against the rope. Listen to me, many of you right now, life's got you up against the rope. You can't give up. You can't give in. Listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And if life's got you backed up, I need you to do what Buster Douglas did. Buster Douglas started fighting back. The world was shocked. Goliath has been knocked down. What happened? And they went to Buster Douglas and they asked Buster Douglas simply like, what happened? And Buster Douglas said, listen to me, it's real simple. Before my mother died, she told the whole world that I was going to beat Mike Tyson. And 2 days before the fight, my mother died. Buster Douglas had a decision to make. When his mother died, he could die with his mother, or he made a decision, I can wake up and I can live for mom. And he knocked Mike Tyson out simply because his why was greater than that punch. His why was greater than defeat. His why was greater than his trial and his tribulation. And I'm telling you, if you don't know what your why is and your why isn't strong, you're going to get knocked out every single day.
If your why isn't strong, you're going to get knocked out every single day. I can't motivate you. It is a 24-hour-a-day job to motivate myself. I can't motivate you. We're learning so many tools, and we've got it in here where the air conditioner is beautiful, where kumbaya, roasted marshmallows. But tomorrow life's going to hit. Tomorrow the waves are going to come. Tomorrow frustration's going to kick in. Tomorrow we really do have to think about numbers, right? If we don't know our why, and our why isn't strong enough, then the waves are going to come and take us down. Think about it. You've got to know what wakes you up, what energizes you, what excites you. But I want you to think about it for your team members for a minute, because we're here as leaders. Many of our team members, maybe yours are a little stronger in this area, but many team members that come to us, they don't know this. They're not home thinking about this. What is it like if we really want to allow people to go on their best self journey to help them begin discovering this? What a richer life would be to really understand, why am I here? What is it that I need to achieve? And I keep it top of mind. And I use that as my motivator, not a KPI. I use your why to help you make it through the storm. I use your why to keep you excited, to work through it, to muscle through it, to wrestle through, to get to the other side. Because money will not motivate you. It will not. A KPI is not going to motivate you. Your why will keep you motivated. Buster Douglas, just think about that a minute. We all know that that was facts. Think about the limiting beliefs. Wasn't Mike Tyson back then biting ears off? Right? He knocked him out. Why? Why? Because he told his mama that he was going to win. That's at the forefront of his head. He's going to make it through the storm. He's going to find something in him he never had. He's going to go deep and reach into his why and use that to go for the fight. Imagine if we had that to work with our team members, to use that superpower to keep them going, to dig deep when they want to give up, when they're frustrated. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. So what are simple questions to begin this? Really simple. Let's make this so practical. I am just about as, I just want to make this simple. I wanted to build the case, but how do we do this? How do we actually do this? So the first and foremost thing I'm going to say is, we've shared so much today about how and learning all these things, and all I would say is, is remain curious. That will be your number one tool. Remain curious. Yes, I'm going to go through a toolbox. I'm going to give you the questions to ask. But I don't want you to memorize the questions, because when you memorize questions, you go into this like robot mode. Imagine if you were just so invested in that moment that you were just curious. So I am going to start with that. But yes, there are questions that we could begin to start cultivating this beautiful conversation that we want to have. And they are simply this: what are you most passionate about? So let me just give you the definition of what we said a why is. Just asking that question. That's how you begin. Make it very concise, and very clear. What is your why? What are you most passionate about? What is it that you want to accomplish in this life? What legacy do you want to leave? What's most important to you in this season of time? What gives you the most energy when you think about accomplishing it? What do you want to win at? Now, here's a thought. I can write 100 more questions for you. You can't finish this list. This is just kickstarters. All this is kickstarters to begin a meaningful conversation. What is it that you want to achieve? What lights you up? What gets you out of bed? That's it. Then you let the curiosity take over and you begin this conversation. So simple, right? Isn't that simple? Can I get a nod there? That's simple. Very clear, very concise. This is how you begin the conversation. How do we continue the conversation? Much more organic than what we had before. Heather gave this beautiful framework. Oh my goodness, it was beautiful. I had the privilege to sit with Charlie, and honestly, it was beautiful. I had a great conversation, and we worked through this framework. This is just organic. Tell me more. When somebody's talking to you, just tell me more. Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? What does that mean to you? What will it mean to your family? What's that going to look like in the future? You're just investing that moment in being present and peeling the layers back and going deeper in the conversation just by asking questions: what, why, how. And you're just going to go deeper in the conversation. This is all in essence to go from a superficial to really a deeper, more meaningful relationship that builds trust and loyalty. Trust and loyalty. Why do our guests come back? They come back from a relationship because you built a relationship. They come back because you've built trust and loyalty. They purchase from you because of the questions that you ask. It's no different with a team member. Trust and loyalty is built on deep-rooted relationships. This is the way forward. So this is just a simple guideline of questions you could ask. This is where I want to camp for just a minute. Just a minute. Tips for leaders. Because this is a big conversation. So it should be handled with care. It should be handled with wisdom. It should be handled with intentionality. So what I would say is, here's just some tips that will help you, not just in leadership. I want you to take this home. I want you to use these tips at home. So the first and foremost is, when you are leading someone, time is of the essence, right? Doesn't the day go so fast? And you're flying, especially in a store location. There's always something going on. And many times a year, I just didn't have the time to do that. So you just give the answer, and I'm pleading with you. We are all genius, we know that. We know we have all the answers. But Last I knew leadership, we were supposed to lead and develop people. We were supposed to create strategic thinkers. We need to pull from our team members. Let them feel empowered with their own thoughts and actions. Let them feel empowered with their own answers to the questions. Let them, we want to develop them. We want to create a strategic thinker. Ask open-ended questions. Move away from yes, no. Yes, no questions do what? What do? They end the conversation. It gives like immediate dead end. Immediate dead end. If you begin to cultivate, you catch yourself asking yes, no questions, and rephrase, reformulate the question into a what, why, or how, you'd be amazed at what you'll get back. The information that will come back at you when you take the time to ask what, why, how. You're going to get gold. When we had your team up and we were going through an all-day coaching session, every time, by default, we're programmed. We just know. We ask a yes, no question. We go, stop. Got to stop right there. Can't go on. Reformulate the question. And there's amazing. You're just blown away at what could come out of it if you go deeper in the dialogue by asking what, why, how. Then be genuine. We talked about genuine curiosity. Think about it a minute. The last time you were sitting and you weren't, I'm gonna call everybody out for a minute. The last time you were in a dialogue, how many of you were in the dialogue to reply versus actually listening? How many of us listen just with the intent to talk back instead of listening and keeping the conversation focused on the person in front of us? Be curious, keep peeling the layers back. Go deeper in the dialogue. Force yourself to go deeper and deeper. When you want to start talking about you instead, push it back to them. Keep pushing it back to them. Force yourself to keep asking more questions. Go deeper. And be okay with the silence. Does everybody get weirded out when there's that moment? You go, what do we do next? What am I supposed to say? Oh, no, oh goodness. That's magical. Those are magical moments when somebody's thinking, when they're processing. Give yourself permission to just let that be. And it's okay. It's actually okay. And don't steal the show. Make the whole conversation about them. Now I'm going to backtrack to what we just said. I think it's a really big pet peeve. Leaders. We're leaders in the room. I am not talking about at this moment going out to Starbucks or going to having a beer with a friend. That's conversation that's different. I'm going to ask us as leaders, when you're involved in a dialogue that's for your team member, keep it on them. Keep it on them. How many of us are guilty? Somebody will say, I went on vacation. Oh, I went too. And then you go off on your own tangent. You just stole the conversation, right? You took it back. What would it look like if you just stayed and, again, went deeper and you didn't make it about yourself? Reflect a moment on how many times that you're even involved and you witness it. That somebody says something and then that next person just takes and goes off on a tangent and they make it about themselves. Let's be cognizant about being leaders and really making it meaningful. Staying with the person in front of us and having that conversation directly related to them. Because you know what? It feels really good. Who enjoyed having that coaching session a moment ago when you're really thinking about yourself and your own journey? No, you guys didn't like it? I guess I'm selfish. I loved it. Charlie's asked me questions. I'm like, let me tell you more. It feels good. Allow our team members, remember, we want to make them feel special. You want to make them feel alive. Keep it about them. Go deeper. Did I make that point enough, by the way? Have I said it enough? Okay. They'll only share what they want. This is not an HR blow-up session. No one's going to share what they don't want. Yes, do you have to be careful if there's some vulnerability? I've heard so many times today that there's been some tears. We do this 2-day wide training back at Factory Direct, and the gossip on the road is, oh boy, what a cry fest, right? And I've heard that in here, cry fest. Yes, you need to be careful, because when there's vulnerability, people do talk, and handle that with care. But nobody's going to share what they don't want. So don't let a limiting belief come in that we can't have these dialogues in a corporate setting, because that's not true. That's not true. And this is a continual conversation that evolves over time. I love that Heather said, we're going to have a second conversation. We're going to have a third conversation. Because it evolves and it grows deeper and it goes in roots. And you have to, this is the one I want to highlight. You have to earn the right. If you don't have this kind of relationship with your team members now, current state, you can't just jump in and just think this is going to happen. A team member knows if you really care. They know. So if you're going to begin this has to be your everyday persona. Right now, I hope you have a pulse that this stuff lights you up. I'd love to for you to just take that pulse one moment. Take a pulse. Is this stuff give you the warm feeling? Or is this like, this is nuts, I'm out of here. This is crazy. I just want to sell some beds. Right? There's a big difference. It's a really big difference. We have to earn the right to come in every day and be authentic. There's a great phrase, people don't care how much you know until what? We all know it, right? We all know it, but is it lip service? So we've got to earn the right. You've got to decide to show up like a leader and take the time to really be this person who's going to have these kind of relationships. So I want to show you how we at Factory Direct, how we employ this, how we make sure we demonstrate it. These are what we call our why boards. We have why boards. And what we do with these is we begin this conversation with our team members day one in training, in orientation. And we keep it going for 2 weeks where we're just constantly talking about what is your why, how are you finding it, we're asking the right questions, we're developing it. And by the end of 2 weeks, we want this why board filled out with pictures. We want the visual triggers to bring it to life. We want it up there so we could see it. And then they fill it out with their how. How are they going to do it? And then this gets hung up in a respective area in every location. Every team member has their why board. Every leader has their why board hung up. Why? Because their why is what motivates. Their why is what excites people. And every week, our leaders have a quick touch base with all of our team members. Depending on the department, we do a weekly touch base, and then we do a monthly CAP, a career achievement plan. This is for productivity. This is to make sure we're growing our people, that we're leading and we're developing them, that we're growing them through their best self journey. So we have these touch base and we have this monthly CAP. And every time we sit down, what do you think the first conversation is? What do you think? Come on, after today, this is an easy question. It's our why. We bring up their why. We talk about their why. Why? Because that's the fuel. That's the mental energy, right? And many people, again, they've not even cultivated it. So you're evolving. You're earning that right. You're growing it. You're going deeper because that's the fuel. We don't talk about the KPIs. They know them. They know if they're at the bottom. They know if they're mid. What we talk about is the belief around their KPIs, and then how are we going to get you there and use the why as their fuel. Kind of a neat trick, right? You want to talk about superpowers, bring out a why board. I know for me, if my why board is filled with Jesus, again, I'm not here to preach, but if you want to speak to my heart at the end of a week or an end of a month, I'm going to look at that and say, did I live like Jesus this week? That could be tough sometimes. That could be really tough. That's my guiding light. What's yours? What's yours? So what we're going to do, I want to fast forward a minute. Well, no, I'm going to go back. So before we break out, we're going to go into a breakout session. Very similar than we did before. Very similar. You're going to find a partner different than you had, and you're going to begin that questioning to extract their why. We're going to extract their why. You're flexing the muscle. No different than if you go to the gym, right? You got to flex the muscle to get really good, and you got to go and do repetitions. So today we're going to do repetition. You're going to go in. What are some of the questions that when we do go to the breakout, what are some of the questions that you're going to ask? Don't look up at the screen. Let's go back here a minute. What are some of the questions? Because that's not it. That's something different. What are some of the questions you would begin? How would you begin that conversation? What is your why? What are you passionate about? What is your legacy? That begins it. How do you keep the conversation going? What are some of the questions that you could do to remain curious? Tell me more. It's not the best back pocket question. Tell me more, right? And why is this important to you? What do it mean like? So when we break, that's what you're going to do. And it's going to be much shorter because we're going to be like in a business setting. You're going to have 11 minutes each to do this. And you're going to find a different partner. And I'm giving you that direction now, but I want to go one step further, but you're not going to go to the coaching element when you go outside, but I want to introduce it. Is that okay? Do you guys want to hear about what it means to really coach somebody? Do you want to know the tools to really move somebody in their productivity from A to B? Yes. That's gold. So I don't want to shortchange it, but I wanted to explain what we're going to do in our breakout session. If I did this first, I don't want you to get confused. So do we know what we're going to do at our breakout session? You're going to extract the why, right? We're going to ask that opening questions. Tell me what are you most passionate about? And then you're going to get curious. You're going to keep diving deeper for about 11 minutes each. So that's what we're going to do at our breakout. But I'm going to dial it back in a minute. I want to talk about what we do at our career achievement plan. When we sit with somebody on a monthly basis, we sit with them and we go through the coaching and we coach to their why. And I'm going to go through this quick because I know it's at this hour, everybody's sleepy, they need Starbucks or something. But I want you to, could you guys stay with me a little bit longer? You ready? Are we ready for this? So let's do this. First and foremost, just like Simon Sinek says, we start with what? When we meet with somebody, we begin with their why. We begin with that why. And then we ask open-ended questions to understand their beliefs about their performance. We do not talk about the KPI. We don't talk about, they know it. We talk about the belief around the KPI. We talk about, so let me make that very practical. If it's betting, we've heard a lot about betting, and you want that number is 30%, but they're at 16%, or wherever they are. We're not talking about the 16%. We're going to talk about the belief by simply, hey, so what's working in betting right now? What's not working? We want to pull it from them. We want to talk about the beliefs from them. Get them talking, because then we'll hear the limiting beliefs. And then we get to help turn that limiting belief around. You won't get anywhere if you start just talking about a number. Do we know that? That's really true. If you're coaching somebody, you're moving that needle when you want to move the needle in performance, don't look at the number. Talk about the belief around the number. From there, you're going to start defining the goals. We want to move you from 16 to 20. In this month. That's what we're going to do. We've clarified that goal. Stake in the ground. They write it down. I'm going from 16 to 20. We're psyched. The next step is we're going to go through pain and pleasure, benefits and consequences. We're going to talk about pain and pleasure. Everyone in this room, every decision you make is to run towards pleasure or run away from pain. So I'll say that again. Every decision you make, you're making it to run towards pleasure or run away from pain. And the bigger driver out of the two is, what do you think? Pain. Unfortunately, majority of us, not all, right? Never say never and always. Majority of us will do more to run from pain. That's why this piece is I'm afraid to say the word imperative. It's so important. It's so important. So what we do, if we nail down that goal is 20%. Now let's talk about what's that going to look like now that you're there. We put them there. We place them there. What's that going to feel like? What's the financial gain? How's that going to feel to your team when you're celebrating? How are you going to celebrate? What's that look like for you? What's your shoulders going to look like? When you have that, when you're acting like that, what's that mean to your family? We want to nail the thought in our head, because so many of us, Majority of us, we're not thinking about the consequences, the pain and the pleasure of our own actions. We don't do that. A simple analogy, if you smoke, it's not about that, it's just such an easy example. If you smoke, you're not thinking about the ramifications. If you stop, you want to think about how much more beautiful it would be. So we want to nail them in. So this pain and pleasure part's really important. So we talk about all that beautiful benefit, but now conversely, we flip the switch. What's this mean now that you didn't do it? How does it feel to show up like that? What made you go back on your word? What's your family going to feel like? What's the financial implications of this? And you might think right now, like, that's kind of mean. And I would say to you, you're doing a disservice if you don't lean in here. This is a disservice. You have to allow your team to see what it's going to feel like if they don't reach it, because you want them to reach their why. This is all an effort. All of it's an effort for them to live out their why. So you got to nail in that pain and pleasure. From there, you ask, what's holding you back? What's stopping you? And this is where we have to self-manage as leaders, because we have all the answers, right? I mean, we're all brilliant. Of course, we know. But to extract it, because again, you want to create strategic thinkers. You want to make sure that they can be empowered by their own answers, right? Because if it's your answer, it's not going to work. Right? It's not going to work. So we want them to figure out what the obstacles are. Then obviously right from there, ask them, what's the solution? Who should come up with the solution? They should. They should. Should you need to course correct? Yes. But majority of it should come from your team member. And you're asking them. You're pulling it all from them. And then it's theirs. When it's theirs, and it's their solution, how much more exciting and empowering is it going to be for them to work through this on their own? Or you think you'll be a better leader by developing them through this journey? Yes. Last, you want to write it down. You want deadlines. You want accountability. And you always want to tie it back to their why. You always want to bring it back. Now that you're going to get to that 20%, how is this going to help you achieve your why? Because here's what I could see, and you encourage them forward. Let me ask you a question, and we'll end here. If you were to adopt something like this in your touch base, in your performance, when you sit and you do your performance meetings, if you were to adopt this, how much more beneficial would it be? You think you would help move your team members across to their best self? And here's what I would say. A lot of people say to me, I don't have the time for this. And here's what I'll share. Do you have the time not to? You know where we're headed. We know where the job market is. We know we want to create meaningful relationships. You know what this company stands for. This company stands for something different. Furnishing life's best memories. We're doing it different. Imagine helping people get to their why by really nailing it in and letting them lead and develop. So I'm going to stop there. Where are we? We're exactly where we're supposed to be. Hallelujah. Okay, so here's what you're going to get. You get 11 minutes each. You're going to grab a partner, and what are you going to do? You're going to extract just the why. That's it. We're not going through this. You're going to extract the why. You're going to ask an open-ended questions, and you're going to keep going deeper for 11 minutes, because in business, you're not going to take an hour and a half every time, correct? We want to make sure that I know that when you meet with people, you can do this at work. You could do this in 10 minutes, and I can't wait to hear what you guys are going to come back with. So go extract the why. Go deep, get as deep as you can, grab a partner who you have not been with, and we're going to be back in here in 22 minutes. 22 minutes. That means you each have 11 minutes. All right. We're only going to take a couple minutes. What I want to do is I want to hear from you. How was that? Well, you had 10 minutes to get to somebody's why. I want to hear about it. I want to hear from you. What I don't want to hear is whatever the story was. That's confidential to you. But what did that process feel like? What happened? What resonated? Who wants to share? Don't leave me hanging.
So we had a conversation that was just basically able to make it feel more natural, and I think that's the idea of when you want to try to get to know somebody in this, and when you're talking personal, you don't want it to be like surface. Really try to get below the surface and really get to know somebody, because as you said, if we're going to be here 40, 45, 50 hours a week, why not take the time to get to know somebody?
Did you feel that you uncovered something that maybe you might not have in this particular situation? Did you know that it was more intentional, you gleaned more?
I think, yeah, and I think I found out stuff about this individual just as this individual found out some things about me as well, too. So I think it went both ways.
Great. I have more questions, but who else? I wish I knew everybody's name, but...
I'm Kevin, thanks.
Hi, Kevin.
Because everybody knows me. All right, so it's actually very easy to start a conversation allowing the other person to speak, because one thing that's so powerful is people love to be listened to. They love to talk about themselves. So when you're asking things that uncovers layers about people and you're just really attentive and you're listening, people are going to tend to really just to go into who they are and why they're doing it. Because again, the most important thing we ever hear is our own name. And then when someone shows interest in us, it just opens up the whole door for everything.
Excellent. Who else? Oh, lots of hands. Please. It might be good to stand up. Yeah, great.
Hi, and I'm Pam. So I think what I really loved is like finding the commonality between purpose. And it's really engaging to understand that people all over have the same purpose. And it might not be exactly the same, but there's links that help you really understand and connect with that other individual.
Excellent. That reminds me, I just want to give you one more nugget. Most people are not conditioned to know this up front, right? Would that be fair to say? Most people are going to say, my family or money. That's absolute. They're going to either say family or money, something along those lines. And this process that you went through allows it to be something different like this. So I'll just give you a scenario, I'm making it up. So if you were to engage in they say family, because that would be a common one, right? But it's those next questions. Well, tell me more. Tell me about your family. Well, I got a couple kids, and I love them, and this one's name is Susie, the other one's name is Johnny, right? Great. Tell me more about them. You're telling them, and that this person might say, well, you know what, I want to purchase a home for my kids. Really? Okay, that's exciting. Tell me more about that. Well, I need to move to a different area. The area that I'm in right now isn't really that great of an area. Where I grew up, there was some violence. It caused some disruption in my life. It fueled me to go make some bad decisions. It took me down some bad paths. It's really important for me to get my kids out of this area and move to a better area. That's the difference between somebody stopping and saying, my family, and going deeper. Because whatever they come out on the surface and say, it's the tip of the iceberg. What's left underneath is enormous. And when you earn the right to have that dialogue by just genuine conversation and going deeper and deeper, you're going to gain the gold. And imagine sitting with somebody and reminding them that you're in this fight because you want to move your children out of that area and move them to a safer environment. Now you have gold. So thanks for bringing that up. That was great. Anybody else? Please, and we'll take one or two more. Look at how he's looking at you. She's adorning you right now. There's such a bond. Look at that.
Tell me more.
Exactly. Check. All right, so his purpose is, the purpose of my life is to be curious, courageous, and fun, to create or co-create powerful possibilities for myself and others, which absolutely blew my freaking mind.
Why? Tell us more.
Because he has endless possibilities to do whatever he wants or create whatever he wants. He doesn't have any restrictions.
That's beautiful.
So I did well? So, like most of us, we have family. So that, our family is who we are. That's what we strive to, improve on or be. This cat's do whatever the heck he wants to do, and I'm like, God, that's awesome.
And that is awesome. And how much more do you want to fight for him now? Right? Once we know this information about our team members, how much more are we willing to fight? How much more are we willing to go the distance and get into the mud with them and help them succeed? Because we're deepening so much. We're deepening that relationship. You're watching it right there.
And can I say something?
Yes.
So he is a very loving, caring, courageous, yes, and he cares deeply about his kids. And it's not just about his kids, like who he is someone that's loving, warm-hearted. So he's being that, he can not only contribute to his kids, but he can contribute to the people he leads. And that's very inspiring.
It almost looks like I paid them to sit and do this infomercial, and I didn't. But imagine, and I can tell you that I've been doing this a long time. That's the kind of camaraderie you want to build. This is the kind of relationships that we want to have, because that's going to build loyalty and trust, and we're going to grow old in a company unless it is in our best self journey to move to another place, but then you have a forever friend. I'm going to ask one last question. Was there any obstacle that was clear that was hindering you that I might be able to answer quickly, and then we'll move on, and we're going to move on to the next greatest thing we're going to do. But was there an obstacle that you faced? What was that obstacle? Anything that I could address? You guys are all pros already. That's amazing, amazing. I might just be prophesizing something that some of us, you feel uncomfortable, you don't know where to go in the conversation after they told you something, and I urged you had to stay there and go deeper. Did anybody have that obstacle or no?
I think what you're talking about, one of the best tools that we can use is these, and less of this. And like what you were dialing into about truly listening to what they got to say. Sometimes I think we jump the gun because we're trying to solve what that is instead of letting them just get it out. We jump too soon to try to solve it instead of just let them exist.
Let them exist, let them solve.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. What a great place to end. I thank you for the time that I had to be with you, 90 minutes of your day. I think it's a privilege to be in there. I can only hope that you're going to go out and make greater relationships after today. Thank you for your time.